The so-called Kennedy Center board wants to rename the Kennedy Center after Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Like, how does that help deal with the affordability crisis in this country? These people are pathetic.
Oh, there's Hakeem Jeffries. What did you expect? He was going to warmly embrace the renaming of the Kennedy Center? No. Any chance that Hakeem Jeffries gets to go after President Trump, Republicans, he will do that. And he did. And welcome to Monday. It is Monday, the Monday before Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and so much more. It's Mike Opelka in for my friend Chris Plant. So honored to be here in Chris's place. And we'll try and uphold the fine standards of the show. Thank God Michael Piercy's here. Jasmine's on the phones. You can be a part of it too. 888-630-9625. Hope you had a great weekend. Here in the Northeast, it was kind of lovely compared to the weekend before. So it's great. I'm happy. I know that some of the people out west were having some problems. I know the rains that hit the western part of the country, problematic to the point where I think there was actually a public service announcement that was telling the people of Seattle that they needed to flush rats down the toilet if they were coming up through the plumb. Yeah, that I believe that's what it was doing. They had a really massive flood situation. And that just seems to be the craziest thing. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. And I lived in New York City for decades. And there were rats in a lot of places. But I'd never heard that advice. Just flush the rats back down the toilet. Sure, that's going to make everybody calm down, isn't it? We don't see the Seattle people, usually a very progressive crowd. They're not alpha males. There's a lot of beta males in that crowd. Crazy, crazy stuff. But let's get back to Hakeem Jeffries and the insanity that has struck the left side of our country as it relates to the renaming of the Kennedy Center. We already played you the clip from Saturday Night Live where they made fun of it as well. Well, over on MS-13 now, Chris Jansing played a clip of a D.C. resident who's very, very upset about the renaming.
Here's how one lifelong resident of Washington, D.C. is reacting to the newly renamed Trump Kennedy Center.
I'm feeling like democracy died today. This is history happening today, and we should all be shocked that a felon, a convicted felon, and a thug, and by all means a grifter, has just stuck his name on top of a national monument. This is a desecration.
A desecration. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you, to find gambling in Casablanca. Really? Really, Andrew Howard? I wonder if Andrew Howard knew the MS-13 Now camera person or the producer. Just, he randomly had his little address ready to share his indignation. And speaking of indignation, Mr. Indignation 2025, otherwise known as Abilio Acosta, Jim Acosta, a man without a network. Of course, Jim Acosta, covering all the important breaking news stories, was there to share it with his podcast audience.
Well, here we are at the scene of yet another crime committed by Donald Trump. He has vandalized the Kennedy Center by putting his name on it. And he just needs to understand that, first of all, he can't do this single-handedly. Only Congress can authorize a change of name to the Kennedy Center. But yet he doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care what is appropriate. He's gone and vandalized the Kennedy Center.
So are you making a citizen's arrest, Mr. Acosta? Are you going to be doing that? Is that how this is going to break down? I really think we need to make sure there's a mental health check on Jim Acosta. He didn't stop there. He continued his rant.
We, the American people, are not going to call the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center, just like we're not going to call the Department of Defense the Department of War, or the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. We, the sane, rational American people, are not going to go along with that. So Trump can act like a child. He can be a vandal, put his name up on all of these buildings, but it's not going to change what the rest of us do in response to what has been a childish and lawless administration.
A childish and lawless administration. No sane person would do that. Someone, I think the psychological clinical diagnosis of what Jim Acosta is feeling is butthurt. I think that's what he's experiencing. He's very upset about this. He's a vandal. We're not going to call it the Gulf of America. We're not going to call it the Department of War. It's on the signs. It's on the stationery. It's on the office door. It's on the building. I feel bad for Jim Acosta. Not really. Representative Steve Cohen is also mad, too.
Today I learned that the Kennedy Center board said that the Kennedy Center would be renamed the Trump Kennedy Center. That's a sacrilege to a martyred, heroic, historic American president. And the idea that Donald Trump would want his name to go before Kennedy's or even with Kennedy's is a sacrilege. It should not be changed ever.
I think you need to look up the word sacrilege. Representative Cohen, perhaps you should look at that. Just saying. It might offend you, which is fine. You have the right to be offended. It's protected. But sacrilege? You might also look up hyperbole as well while you're in the dictionary, kind of fumbling around. And not to be left out of the fun, Senator Chris Van Hollen, the lover of the Maryland man, Kilmore Abrego Garcia, well, he is promising, he is vowing, he is going to do something about this.
We are here to say that this desecration of the Kennedy Center will not stand. Mark my words, whether it's a matter of weeks or months, Donald Trump's name will come down off of the Kennedy Center.
If he has to do it himself, he will get that done. The outrage and the fact that people are outraged about this, it's so interesting to me. And earlier, someone suggested that President Trump could have said, "Oh, thanks for the honor, but I'm not going to do it." No, he puts his name on every building. So this is, I think, the president also utilizing this moment to troll people on the left. And the fact that it got done so quickly is so amazing to me. I have to play for you another statement by someone who actually I respect her because she made a vow that if Donald Trump were reelected president of the United States, she would leave the country. And she lived up to that promise. She kept her promise. Of course, I'm talking about Rosie O'Donnell, who said, if he's reelected, I'm leaving. And she did. She did. Rosie, as expected, melted down over the Kennedy Center now being renamed the Trump Kennedy Center. But it's so funny because it's as if the word Trump paralyzes these people. It puts some sort of apoplexy upon them. They can't speak properly. She can't say the word Trump. This was Rosie's reaction.
The Kennedy Center debacle. It has gone too far.
It has gone too far. I thought she meant, the Trump presidency has gone too far. No, she can't say Trump. At least I thought she couldn't say Trump. Now her clip is locking up on us. Hang on a second. I'm going to move this clip over to another player here. Rosie O'Donnell truly losing everything over this. Rosie O'Donnell unable to speak because Donald Trump forces her vocal cords and probably her brain to freeze up and just not be able to properly express herself.
The Kennedy Center debacle.
Yes.
It has gone too far.
It
is seriously unwell.
It
needs to be removed from office.
Oh, Donald Trump. That's who you're talking about.
It. The nameless blob of negative energy.
Nameless blob of negative energy. When you point a finger, there's three pointing right back at you. Nameless blob of negative energy.
It. Hold, please.
Hold, please. Hold, please. What? Are you taking calls during your mini rant? I do feel badly for Rosie O'Donnell. She was told by her therapist that she needed to take a break, that she needed to take 3 days off and go away from social media and stop talking about President Trump. Go outside. Let your feet touch grass, Rosie. There's plenty of it in Ireland. It might be a little muddy and peaty, but you should get out there. But no, she can't. She's losing it.
We never thought we'd be living what we're living right now. Never. Who thought it?
I did.
Did you think it?
Yes.
In a million years.
Voted for this.
That they would reelect the man who orchestrated an insurrection?
No insurrection, madam. You need to understand words. You need to read the lawsuit against the BBC.
Against the government?
Not against the government.
They would reelect that guy with all the charges of sex abuse and the adjudicated rapist.
Adjudicated rapist. I think that's the name of your new album.
And then I just saw this thing today about all the cases he settled with children.
Now, this is Bravo Sierra. This is not a true story. Rosie O'Donnell is spreading. She should be very careful. She might find herself on the end of a Trump lawsuit. It's just fun to watch the left meltdown over the changing or addition of the name to the Kennedy Center. Let's grab a couple of calls real quick. Let's check in with my old hometown, Chris's old hometown, Chicago, where Don is listening on the great WLS. Hello, Don.
Hey, Chris, my favorite fill-in host. Always good to talk to you. Yeah, was there a big stink made of the changing of the National Cultural Center, which was the original name of it before it was the Kennedy Center? And if there is, why not just name it back to its original name?
Aha, yes, we added John F. Kennedy's name to the Cultural Center way back when. But we were putting, in honor of the assassinated president, we were putting his name on schools everywhere, to be fair.
Right. I went to Kennedy School in Schiller Park, Illinois, grade school, yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh my. I was at Little Flower. And then at Our Lady of Perpetual Help. But, yeah, you couldn't swing a cat without hitting a Kennedy school or a Kennedy Center. So I'm not advocating cat swinging, Don. Do not tell people that. Yeah, that's a great point. Great point, Don. Thank you very much. And good for the Bears. I got to say that. Good for the Bears. What a great, exciting weekend for everybody in Chicago. I have to take a break. So much to get to. Let's talk more about the Democrats melting down over the renaming of the Kennedy Center. Isn't it fun? 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant. Today would be a good day to call your liberal friend and ask them if they'd like to go see a concert with you at the Trump Kennedy Center. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Record the conversation and share it with us. Let's do that. The calls are coming in fast and feverishly. Let's go to Jason in Kensington. Good morning, old friend. How are you?
Hey, Mike, how you going, mate?
I'm good. Happy Christmas to you.
Happy Christmas, mate. I like your Christmas outfit on the golf course too. That's pretty sweet. I mean, I was looking at it the other day. I was like, that's a pretty flash-looking outfit you got there.
Thank you. Crimes of fashion on the golf course.
But it's funny. Like all these liberals are screaming about the Kennedy Center, but they had no problem when people were desecrating or removing some of these national statues. I mean, there wasn't any outrage over that. I mean, we were just supposed to sit there and say nothing about it, like, taking down statues of Lincoln or wherever, Washington. They didn't seem to have any issue with that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. The left was all in on dragging down any statue that they didn't like, that the left didn't like, from anywhere, not just in D.C., but all over the country. Just perceived problems caused statues to be taken down everywhere. That's a really good point, Jason. So, Jason, you don't have a problem with the renaming, do you?
No, I think it's hilarious. I think anything to set them off, I like. The trolling is just incredible. He's just got such a good way of trolling these people, and it's just so entertaining because he's just basically got their head spinning around in 10 different directions at once, and it's great.
It's fun to watch. It is so fun to watch. I love it. Thank you, buddy. I hope you have a great holiday. Appreciate you being there. Let's go to Matt in Arlington, Virginia. Hello, Matt. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning. I believe we should rename the Jim Brady press room at the White House. And it should be renamed for Mimi Alford. Do you know who Mimi Alford is?
I know the name, but who was Mimi Alford?
Mimi Alford, according to our folks over at Wikipedia, is an American woman who had an affair with President John Kennedy while she served as an intern in the White House press office. Oh,
Mimi Beardsley, I believe, was the name I knew her by, right?
That's her married name, yes.
Yes, Mimi. That's a boy. Because wasn't it in the pool, which is now the press room?
That is correct.
Wow. That would be an absolute gigantic middle finger to the left.
We could, right, and the man who introduced the intern, David Powers, you could throw that in there. Everybody likes all this disclosure, that's going on now with Epstein. Well, here you go.
Wow, I forgot that her name was Alfred. The book that I read, it was Mimi Beardsley. And, she told the story of being in the swimming pool with President Kennedy. I hope we cleaned up that area before we put all that equipment down under the floor of the press room. Really interesting. So much to get to today. Thanks for joining us. 888-630-9625. It's Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for the vacationing Chris Plant. Happy to be here. Honored to be here. Thanks for hanging out. So much to get to today. Just looking over the list of stories and audio that we have to share with you. The D.C. police chief has left her post, and we'll get to that because, boy, oh boy, was that a fun press conference on Friday. I've been talking about the renaming of the Kennedy Center to add the name of Donald Trump to the name, and how the left has reacted. And they seem to have what my late mother used to call convenient memories, where they forget anything that might wake them up to the reality of, oh, this isn't really that big of a problem. Yeah, like the removal of statues, that they were all in on dragging down statues everywhere they could, or defiling statues. So much fun to watch the hypocrisy, as we call it, that portmanteau meaning hypocritical irony. The left, they're overwhelmed by it. It's fun. It's fun for everybody. More from Turning Point USA. There's an interesting story out of Illinois that we should get to today as well, that talks about one of the effects of Pritzker, the guy who probably will try and make a run for the Democrat nomination 2028, J.B. Pritzker, the governor. One of the effects of his policies, as well as Mayor Johnson in Chicago's policies, are driving corporations out of the city of Chicago, out of the state of Illinois, denying jobs and massive amounts of tax revenue. It's a kind of a big stinking deal. We should get to that. And Congress is not in session, but that doesn't mean that you, the people, don't want to talk about Congress. For example, Rod is calling from Arkansas to the Chris Plant Show. Rod, welcome, sir. What's on your mind today?
Well, I was letting my mind wander. I'm an old trucker. Ilhan Omar's been very quiet since they published her vital stats to the web. And I know her husband already hauled butt for Somalia, I guess. Husband or brother, son or nephew. I wonder how long she's going to wait to join him. You know, I mean, they've got all that money. She's from Minnesota, right?
Yes, sir.
And
yes.
You know how much money evaporated, at least $8 billion up there. But you were really talking about a good subject, you know. I mean, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, I like thinking of him as William Jefferson Clinton, the senior, you know. But
wow.
Ilhan Omar, yeah, it kind of reminds me. But, you know, Ilhan's been very, very quiet. Very quiet. She must be hunting rabbits.
Be very quiet. Some people did something. Yeah, Ilhan Omar, very interesting story. We're now hearing, and Rod made a reference to the $8 to maybe $18 billion in your taxpayer dollars that have gone missing in various welfare programs across the state of Minnesota. And the interesting thing to me is Tim Walz is trying to figure this out now. He's trying to say, yes, it happened on my watch. It wasn't that much. It was just tens of millions of dollars. Can you imagine? Or they said hundreds of millions, but not billions. Can you imagine trying to defend wasting $100+ million? Let's not even get into the $8 to $10 billion range. But just wasting the money of the people of the United States and saying affordability is a crisis, but the wasting of this money is, it's nothing really to be worried about, people, and I'll fix it. Yes, I was the guy in charge. It is amazing to me. But here's the thing, Rod. The Somalis who come to America don't come here, in general, don't come here to assimilate. They bring their tribal affiliations to this country, and they live in communities that are dense in Somali refugees, if you want to call them that, and they adhere to a lot of the customs of their old country and a lot of the habits and a lot of the let's just say proclivities of their tribes. And I hope we follow the money on this. But apparently one of the biggest groups in Somalia and now in Minnesota, I think it's the 15th district, I got to go back and double check that elected Ilhan Omar, is this one tribal group that's very powerful. And, gee, they seem to have contributed money to Ilhan Omar, and she has supported their causes. And let's just find out how many of the people who have been charged and convicted, how many of those people are tied to Ilhan Omar. Let's connect the dots. So the brother thing, it seems like that should be easy to prove. If that is easy to prove, why does she still have a job? Seriously, why? I would like to know. I would absolutely like to know. I hope we get answers. I'm not so sure she's been that quiet. I'm going to go back and look. I know Jasmine Crockett has been very present. We've got some Jasmine Crockett to share with you in just a little bit as well. But thank you for that call, Rod. Always appreciate it. Let's go to Justin in Silver Spring, Maryland. Hello, Justin. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning. It's just in time. And I just wanted to make sure I said hello to Jason. He's a good friend, and he's a magnificent wood carver, in case you all didn't know that. He does magnificent work with wood carvings.
Really?
So, yes, absolutely. He carved a magnificent tree trunk for me, and it's standing as a beacon in my community. People come by just to take pictures. He is fantastic. I'm telling you.
Now, Justin, when you got a tree stump like that, does he carve it with a chainsaw, or does he use regular chisel and hammer and things?
He does all of that. He does it all.
Okay.
Yes, he does.
And
it's amazing.
How do you keep it? How do you keep it from not deteriorating? Did you have to like coat it with something?
That's what he does. He takes very special care of it, and he puts these plugs. I mean, it's just amazing what he does. So I'm just giving him a shout out.
All right, very nice. I love the way the listener family here is connected on this. But you had a comment on the Kennedy Center.
Oh yes, indeed. I'm a long time old friend of Chris Plant. We go back to his days when he was on the late night show.
Oh yeah.
Then moved to daytime. We go back a long way. But yes, what I wanted to tell you is that the Kennedy Center renaming is typical, and it makes sense because Donald Trump does that. He puts his name on everything. And it doesn't matter that the Kennedy Center and what it stands for and what it's worth before him doesn't matter, because this is Trump, and he just doesn't care. And people go along with it and allow him to do all of these things that, in one sense, don't really shouldn't do that. But it doesn't matter because he doesn't care about that. So,
well,
hey,
Justin,
what are you going to do?
One of the arguments that people have made against the renaming of the Kennedy Center is from I have a friend who had 5 rules for life, and number 5 in his very simple rules for life was just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I got a feeling my late friend Doc would say, hey, just because you can doesn't mean you should. What do you say to people who say, hey, Rule 5 should be invoked here? Just because you can, Mr. President, doesn't mean necessarily you should.
Well, once again, you're talking about common sense and decorum and respect. These are not words and things that resonate within Donald Trump's mind. So you can't go there. We're talking about, there's a list of attributes that go along with him that are accurate, and I will say them if you like. But
well, I do now. Are you saying that? See, I think the president's very, very much a common sense guy. At the end of the day, he looks at a situation and says, "What makes the most sense out of this?" We were talking about earlier. We were talking off air about the pursuit of the Venezuelan tankers. And what's the common sense answer here? Well, there are a lot of things going on with the Venezuelan tankers. One, we're trying to stop the Venezuelan government from moving sanctioned oil to China and to Cuba. Number 2, we're trying to force the will of the people to be respected in that country after the elections were so badly altered. Number 3, we're also trying to stop the drug trafficking out of Venezuela. So there's like 3 different things happening with one action. So I do think the president has common sense, and ultimately he's trying to have a common sense solution to a very difficult problem. Is there something else you were thinking in terms of that?
Well, now you switch to the oil situation. No, he's being Jack Sparrow. He's a pirate. He's snatching oil. And so, and it's a distraction. There's nothing to do with that. Come on.
Now, wait a minute. The oil was sanctioned by the previous administration. So why wasn't it a problem under Biden, but it's a problem under Trump?
If there was an issue under Biden, and unfortunately, I can honestly say I am unaware of that. So I can honestly claim the true word of ignorance. I'm without knowledge in terms of that.
But you can see it. You can track it. And in terms of the...
I will do that.
in an additional sidebar to this topic, the drug boats and the interdiction against the drug boats was due to a law that Chuck Schumer helped write years ago. So both of these cases against Venezuela for the sanctioned oil and the drug boats, the narco-terror boats, those all came under Democrats. And so I don't understand why now they're a problem. The taking action on these bits of direction from Democrats, why it's a problem now. It's really interesting to me, just as, again, what my late mother called convenient. You're conveniently adhering to things because they make sense now. It's really interesting. But thank you, Justin. I appreciate you being there today. All right. I have so many calls lining up. We're going to get to them, and some of them are very interesting. But I have to have one fun call, right? We have to have one fun call, and that one fun call usually comes from Charleston, South Carolina, where Jerome is waiting to just berate the president. Hello, Jerome. Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, Merry Christmas there, Mikey. Hey, Trump and his boy Hexus, they're just playing out war criminals, okay? Thugs and murderers. You're just blowing up people in the middle of the ocean and without any due process, no court, no nothing, okay? And you go right along with that. If that was a Democrat, you'd be raising all kinds of hell about that, okay? But he's a war criminal. He just like Putin. He just like Netanyahu, killing all those innocent Palestinians and calling them terrorists, okay? He's a murderer and a thug. And as far as Hexus goes, his own mama don't even like him. She said he ain't no damn good. I feel that Bongino's leaving. Who else? What other rats are going to desert the sinking ship? Huh, Mikey? Any more rats leaving the sinking Trump ship? How about them approval ratings? Nice ratings, down in the 30%, huh? Yeah.
Okay, Jerome. I gave it, Jerome. I just cut him off. He can listen because I gave him his 30, 45 seconds. Did we not see the vice president's mom with him on stage? Have we not seen the vice president's mom? Hasn't that family healed? Haven't they gotten it together? I think so. Hasn't that been the case? Did you miss out on that? Dan Bongino did. I think we've talked quite openly here on the Chris Plant Show about how we love Dan Bongino, but we also didn't know how long he'd be able to stay in the public sector after the private sector was so good to him. It's hard to live in the swamp for very long once you're a criminal, a person, a citizen of the capitalist world, and very successful at that. But you're very wrong when it comes to the Vice President of the United States and his mother. But you can smear as much as you want, Jerome. And when it comes to approval ratings, even CNN is talking about the fact that the Democrats in the House, the Democrats in the Senate, are currently sitting at 18%. 18%. They're down so low they have to take off their socks just to see. That's how far down the Democrats have been knocked down. I'm taking a break. When we come back, there's a great idea from one of you in the Chris Plant audience that we have to get to. Ronnie's in Austin, Texas. Hang on, Ronnie. I got to hear what you got to say. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for my buddy Chris Plant. How are you? You look great. Thanks for being there. So much to get to, and I was talking earlier about the Kennedy Center, the renaming of the Kennedy Center, and I noticed one of you in the vast and unpaid resource department of the Chris Plant Show, the listeners, calling from the great city of Austin, Texas, one of my favorite places on the planet. Ronnie is calling. Ronnie, welcome to the Chris Plant Show. You had an interesting idea here.
I was thinking since Trump has total legal control over the naming of the Kennedy Center, he could take his name down and name it the Tampon Tim Kennedy Center?
No, we can't do that. Come on, we'll lose the house.
How about the Big Mike Kennedy Center?
The Big Mike see. I think the Big Mike Kennedy Center might get some traction. Although, Ronnie, I've been thinking we should change Michelle Obama's nickname to Chip, because she seems like she has a chip on her shoulder every time she talks about something.
Yeah, the straight hair and the not straight hair.
Yeah. Everything was a grievance. The woman who's been handed more opportunity, more privilege, more anything than anybody I know is always aggrieved about something. And she always uses the we. We have not been treated properly. Madam. Yeah, Chip. That's what I'm calling Michelle Obama Chip going forward. But the Big Mike Center is pretty interesting. Maybe we'll open it up to other names for the Kennedy Center. The Trump Kennedy Center. Thank you, Ronnie. Say hi to 6th Street for me, one of my favorite places. Quickly, let's go to Eduardo in Tampa. Hello, Eduardo. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, Michael, Merry Christmas. I got to talk about Venezuela because I've been watching both Spanish channels. It's all about Maduro. So Jerome and all these lefties I was listening to over the weekend in Chicago, dumb like a rock. Talking about it's about oil and that other garbage. It's ridiculous. Mr. Maduro's term is coming to an end. Cuba is all the communists. We should pull all those troops from Europe and put them in South America. Between the North American troops and South America, we're going to squeeze these cartels out of existence.
Yeah, it really feels like President Trump is playing on many different fronts here in that area, where he's got several different issues that are working to squeeze Maduro out. And I guess Maduro has been said to be weighing options, as it were. We'll see what happens. We'll keep our eyes on it. But thank you, Eduardo. Keep us posted on what Spanish TV is saying. We'd love to know. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show.